The message appeared on her phone screen for only a few seconds. But those few seconds shattered everything I thought I knew. My ex-wife was asleep with her head resting on my shoulder when her phone lit up in the darkness of the hospital waiting room. I wasn't trying to snoop. I wasn't trying to invade her privacy. But the bright screen flashed in the corner of my eye, and before it faded, I read the words that would change my life forever. I wish he saw me the way I see him. The message was unsent, and the name at the top wasn't another man's. It was mine. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, take a moment to like this video. Comment where you're watching from. Share this story with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that sometimes love doesn't disappear, it just gets lost. The night everything changed was a cold November evening in Columbus, Ohio. The rain tapped softly against the hospital windows, while exhausted families sat in silence, waiting for updates about the people they loved. My name is Nathan, and 3 years earlier I had signed divorce papers, ending a 12-year marriage with a woman named Rachel. At least, that's what I thought I was ending. Rachel and I hadn't divorced because of cheating or betrayal. We divorced because of something much more common and much more dangerous. We stopped seeing each other, not physically, emotionally. Life happened. Careers happened. Bills happened. Stress happened. Somewhere between raising our daughter Sophie, paying the mortgage, and working endless hours, we became strangers living in the same house. I convinced myself Rachel didn't appreciate me. Rachel probably convinced herself I didn't appreciate her. Neither of us was entirely wrong. Neither of us was entirely right. By the time we realized how far apart we'd drifted, resentment had already built walls between us. The divorce was quiet. No screaming. No courtroom battles. Just two exhausted people who believed they would be happier apart. For a while I thought I was. Then reality arrived. The empty apartment felt colder than I expected. The silence felt heavier than I imagined. The freedom I thought I wanted felt strangely lonely. Still, pride kept me moving forward. Rachel moved into a small house across town. We shared custody of Sophie. We remained polite, friendly, even, but distant. Like two people, reading different chapters of the same book. Then, 6 months before that night in the hospital, Sophie was diagnosed with a serious heart condition. Suddenly nothing else mattered. Not the divorce, not the arguments, not the old wounds. Only Sophie. The following months became a blur of doctors' appointments, tests, medications, and fear. Rachel and I found ourselves sitting together again, driving together again, praying together again. Not because we wanted to rebuild our marriage, at least that's what I told myself, but because our daughter needed us. The surgery had been scheduled for that rainy November day. It lasted nearly 8 hours. 8 hours of fear, 8 hours of imagining worst-case scenarios, 8 hours of remembering every moment of Sophie's life. As the hours passed, Rachel sat beside me in the waiting room. We barely spoke. We didn't need to. Sometimes pain creates a language stronger than words. Around midnight, exhaustion finally caught up with her. Slowly, her head leaned against my shoulder. Instinctively, I froze. For 3 years, I hadn't held her hand. For 3 years, I hadn't felt her beside me. Yet somehow, the feeling still seemed familiar. Natural, like coming home after being lost. She fell asleep almost instantly, and then her phone lit up. I wish he saw me the way I see him. The words hit harder than any punch I've ever taken. I stared at the screen as it faded back into darkness. My heart pounded. What did that mean? When had she written it? Why hadn't she sent it? And, most importantly, was she talking about me? For the next hour, I couldn't stop thinking about those words. Every memory from our marriage replayed in my mind. The vacations, the birthdays, the late-night talks, the dreams we once shared. Then I started remembering different things. The times Rachel stayed up all night when Sophie was sick. The sacrifices she made for our family. The way she always believed in me even when I doubted myself. The countless things I had taken for granted. Somewhere along the way, I had stopped noticing everything she did. I had become so focused on what I wasn't receiving that I stopped appreciating what I already had. The realization hurt because it was true. A little after 1 a.m., the surgeon finally appeared. Rachel woke instantly, her eyes filled with panic. For one terrifying second, neither of us could breathe. Then the doctor smiled. The surgery had been successful. Sophie was going to be okay. The relief hit us like a tidal wave. Rachel burst into tears. Without thinking, I wrapped my arms around her. She clung to me just as tightly. Years of distance disappeared in a single moment. Not because all our problems were magically solved, but because we remembered what mattered. Over the following weeks, Sophie recovered steadily. Rachel and I spent countless hours together, helping her heal. For the first time in years, we truly talked. Not about schedules, not about responsibilities, about ourselves, our fears, our regrets, our mistakes. One evening, after Sophie had fallen asleep, I finally gathered the courage to ask Rachel about the message, the unsent text, the one that haunted me. The color drained from her face. For a moment she looked embarrassed. Then she smiled sadly. She admitted she had written it months earlier after one of Sophie's appointments. She had been watching me comfort our daughter, watching me stay strong when everyone else was falling apart, watching me show a kindness she felt I'd forgotten. During our marriage, she said, she realized she still saw the best parts of me, the same parts she fell in love with years ago. But she wasn't sure if I still saw anything special when I looked at her. So she never sent the message, she saved it, and left it buried in her drafts. What Rachel didn't know was that seeing those words had forced me to confront a painful truth. I had stopped seeing her too, not intentionally, not cruelly, but gradually. The way people stop noticing sunsets, because they happen every day. The way they stop appreciating music they've heard 1,000 times. I had become blind to the extraordinary woman standing beside me, the woman who had sacrificed so much for our family, the woman who loved fiercely, the woman who never stopped caring, even after our marriage ended. That conversation lasted nearly 4 hours. By sunrise, both of us were crying. Both of us were apologizing. Both of us were admitting things we'd been too proud to say for years. Healing wasn't immediate. Trust wasn't instantly restored. Love doesn't work like a movie. Real life is slower, messier, more complicated. But it was a beginning, and sometimes a beginning is enough. 16 months later, Rachel and I stood together in a small church surrounded by close friends and family. This time, we weren't signing divorce papers. We were exchanging wedding vows. Again, Sophie's smile that day was brighter than the church lights. She walked between us holding both our hands. And, as I looked at Rachel standing across from me, I realized something important. The greatest tragedy isn't losing someone you love. The greatest tragedy is having them right beside you and failing to truly see them. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to comment the words I choose to see below. Those 4 words carry more power than most people realize. Today, every anniversary, Rachel sends me the same message. I wish he saw me the way I see him. And every year, I send one back. Because now, I finally do. And before this story ends, here's a special request. Comment. Second chances are beautiful if you believe people can grow, heal, and find their way back to each other. The truth is, life gives very few perfect moments. Most relationships aren't destroyed by one big mistake. They're weakened by thousands of tiny moments of neglect, misunderstanding, and unspoken feelings. But they're also rebuilt the same way through small acts of kindness, patience, honesty, love. So if there is someone in your life you've stopped truly seeing, maybe today is the day to look again. Maybe today is the day to notice. Maybe today is the day to tell them what your heart has been too afraid to say. And if this story moved you even a little, please like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, leave a comment below, and subscribe to the channel. You never know whose life might change because of a story about love finding its way home. Because sometimes the message that changes everything is the one that was never meant to be sent.